Shane Murphy here, entrepreneur and restaurant marketing expert. Welcome to the Restaurant Rocket Fuel podcast, where we discuss marketing strategies that leading restaurateurs are using to grow and expand their restaurants. This podcast is sponsored by Boostly, the text marketing company that works with every point of sale and online ordering vendor in the industry. No contracts, no monthly fees. Learn more at boostly.com. Welcome back, everybody. We are lucky to have Juan Orrego with us today. Juan co-founded Cuboh over 6 years ago, where they automatically integrated all of your restaurant's online orders into your point of sale, whether they were coming through a direct or a third-party channel. And back in March, Cuboh was acquired by ChowNow, a direct online ordering company that serves over 15,000 SMB restaurants throughout both the US and Canada. As part of that acquisition, Juan's now the general manager over the Canadian business unit for ChowNow. And we're super excited to have him here to share his story and his learnings with us. So Juan, thank you for coming with us today.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Shane.
You bet. Maybe before we dive into too many things here, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and the story behind Cuboh?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'll take it back to my younger years. I was born and raised in Colombia, which is a very entrepreneurial country. There's a lot of poverty and stuff. So a lot of people, you just grow up kind of like, if you want to make it, you have to build your own business. So both my parents are entrepreneurs. And they taught me since 5 years old, hey, if you want to buy, a video game, you have to kind of make your own money. And that's, so like I really wanted to buy Mary Brothers, and that would, sell ice cream, door to door. So since really early, I've been kind of like on this journey of, learning how to make money and adding value and selling and so on. When I was 17, I ended up moving to Canada. I moved to this small city called Victoria, just like north of Seattle on Vancouver Island. Super beautiful city. And I got into this great business school. Have no idea how I got into it because I wasn't a great student. And as part of this, in order to graduate, you have to do what we call a co-op, which is basically like a paid internship. And I met this guy called James. He's like a legend here in the Victoria startup scene. He's been doing startups since like 2005. And he was like one of the main guys, in the early days that was trying to get Victoria on the map. So I worked for him for 3 months, and I'm just an entrepreneur. Like, I'm not a good employee. So wasn't meeting my quota. Ends up taking me on a walk, and he says, yeah, you're not meeting quota, so we're letting you go. Like I said, I wasn't a great student, so I ended up going to the university, and I was like, I don't want to have to do this 4 months of, internships again. I needed the credits to graduate. I wanted to drop out. And they were like, well, if you let's get creative here. Like, what if you create your own company and then employ yourself under it? And then we can kind of use that experience as that internship, and you can get the credits. And so that's what I did. I had worked in restaurants like most college students. And so I was like, okay, I think the business I am going to create is going to be tech, like a tech company in servicing restaurants. It's like the only two things that I knew, how to do really, really well. And the main idea behind Cuboh was I want to help restaurants make better decisions. So we started by consolidating all of these different data points from a lot of different platforms in one place. But we weren't able to sell it. And this one restaurant basically said, hey, we're not interested in this sort of like data play, but if you can consolidate all of this delivery apps. This was back in 2018. So like delivery apps were just starting to grow. So we're like, if you can consolidate all of this delivery apps, all of our orders, put them in our POS for us, we'd absolutely buy that. And so that's how Cuboh started. So it was back in 2018. The journey has obviously been incredible. 2019, we did Y Combinator, just like you guys did, graduated from the program. And then COVID hit. So we weren't ready for the scale that was about to happen. We figured it out. And yeah, in 2024, in March, ChowNow, before that, of course, they knocked on our door after a few months. The deal closed in March. And for anybody that isn't familiar, ChowNow is a direct online ordering platform. So you don't only have to work with third-party apps, you can also have your own branded mobile app and your white label website, so that your customers that are loyal can just go directly to you and not have to pay commissions. So we're kind of like now have this, operating system for everything online ordering. And that's kind of where we're at today.
No, that's amazing. That's hilarious that it started through this internship and this idea of, oh man, I have to figure out this whole school thing. And look what was created from that. That's a fantastic story.
For me, it was just destiny. I remember thinking, okay, because I watched this, there's this speech that Steve Jobs gave, I think it was Stanford. And he was like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And so I just had this immense belief. I'm a big believer in like the law of attraction. So I was like, hey, this is my time. Like, this is what this means. And it ended up working out. And a really cool part of the story that I left out is James, the guy that fired me, ended up being our first investor. So I like pestered him for months until he was like, hey, meet me at this pub at 9 p.m. And I did. And he was like, I think he felt bad and just wrote me like a small check, but it, ended up doubling down later on. And he's a great friend of mine now.
That's great. What a fantastic story. And so you initially started with this data play and, started observing some of the challenges with, it sounds like this specific customer who's like, hey, if you build a way to consolidate my third-party delivery orders into my point of sale, like then you have me as a customer here. When you were observing like the challenges and deciding, hey, we're going to do this pivot and we're going to go after integrating third-party orders into the point of sale, what were some of the core challenges that you were observing?
So when somebody told me about this idea, my first reaction was, okay, we've been doing this data play for a few months now. It hasn't really worked out. I want to make sure that before we pivot, that there's an actual problem here and that this isn't the only restaurant that's facing this problem. But I mean, in theory, the problem made perfect sense to me. I couldn't believe that restaurants needed, a tablet per app and someone to like manually enter all those orders. So the first thing I did is I picked up the phone. I found 10 restaurants. I called them, emailed them, and tried to see if this was a problem that they were facing. And the reaction that I got was so positive. Like it had never been so easy to sell a product because everybody was like, oh my God, I always thought about this. I wanted to create it. I just didn't know how. Like, this is fantastic. So before we even wrote a single line of code, I had 2 people that were paying me just waiting for us to build the product. So that because we were trying to get money to validate that people were willing to pay for this, people had their normal, like natural objections / questions about the product. So they would ask, hey, what happens if I like run out of an item? Can I do that through your platform instead of having to go through all the delivery apps? And we were just learning. We weren't very familiar with this problem. So I would just write it down. I'd say, yeah, absolutely. Just classic entrepreneur. I'll figure it out later. And so that's how we started like understanding all the challenges. The main things that we found were, and this is kind of how we think about the problems that we help restaurants solve. This is Cuboh specific because, like, again, now that we're working with ChowNow and are part of ChowNow, we can do even more. But before the acquisition, we thought about Cuboh as like we're solving 3 main problems. One is restaurants shouldn't have to deal with so many tablets because training all the employees is a pain point. They get overwhelmed with in-person volume. And they kind of have to forget about these tablets. It's just like not operationally easy. And so we, the way that we solve that is we just have this one remote control basically that consolidates everything. And then in addition to that, there's like this second problem, which is, well, I need all my orders in my POS so that they print in the kitchen so that I have them in our system of record. But having to pay an employee to manually take care of that is super time consuming and they make mistakes and, in-person traffic gets them overwhelmed. And so they have to forget about it again. So we do that for them. And then lastly, like the third and big benefit of a platform like Cuboh is we centralize all the menus as well. So when a restaurant was thinking about adding a new item or updating a picture or a description, or say they want to just test if they can up their prices, they can just do it with the click of a button and push it out to all the delivery apps instead of having to do that over and over and over. So you're not running out of a bunch of items every day, which obviously happens. It's super time consuming. You forget, customers end up ordering it, your reputation is tarnished. And so that's what we're attempting to solve. And then with ChowNow, we kind of have this play where we now kind of can tie it all together so that those customers that are coming to you through third parties you can do such a great job with your food that they want to order from you again. And hopefully you can, a platform like ChowNow can help you have that direct channel, so you don't have to pay that commission. So it's kind of like a top of funnel, bottom funnel approach that we're taking.
Yeah, which everyone who has been in the restaurant industry has really experienced that level of, there's the good and the bad that comes with the third parties, and figuring out how to harness that for the good, and really being in control of your business is super hard. Maybe can you speak to like the role that these third party delivery companies play in marketing for the restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, third parties are super expensive. There's a reason why they're expensive. They're burning a lot of dollars trying to do what restaurants aren't great at, which is like marketing their product and getting traffic. So that's their main role, and that's kind of how we see it as ChowNow. It's like, this is, we're not necessarily, like, me personally, at least, I don't think about them as like, a bad channel for you. It's just top of funnel that if you try to get, it will probably be more expensive because you don't have the scale of the third parties. But it's obviously not for everyone, right? Not all food travels well. Very expensive food probably won't do very well on the delivery apps. But if you're a QSR, fast service restaurant that can pump out a lot of product, and you have space for more ordering volume, then the third parties are a great way to do that. And again, hopefully you do such a great job, because we understand they're expensive, that they can come to you directly in the future, whether it's through your website or whether it's through, they see you and they're like, oh my God, I've ordered from this restaurant. Like, let me walk in here.
Yeah.
They can be very, very, very good at that. And a platform like Cuboh, makes it really easy to just like pause a delivery app. So if you're super busy and you don't want to take DoorDash orders, then you can just do that. But now that the delivery apps are very conscious of, hey, you know what, we are pretty expensive. They're a lot more friendly when it comes to like restaurants upcharging their prices. Now that cost is pushed onto the consumer, which at the end of the day is the one getting the value out of all this, just due to the convenience. So, so that's how I think about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think you described that really well. I love the funnel concept here, because one of the challenges that people have experienced with the third parties is that, hey, I go there because they are marketing. They have this big marketing reach. That's where they're putting dollars, and it's going to bring me more new customers. But then as time goes on, they fall into the trap of, well, this is kind of cannibalizing my existing customers, because the third parties are so good at marketing. Now my customers will only come through those channels, and if I'm not upcharging my prices, I'm eating it in the margins. But what you highlighted is a really important thing, that I need to do such a good job that people will come to me directly, and I need to be able to give them options of how to come to me directly. If this is the top of the funnel, I want to get new customers, then find a way to make them my own customer, by doing a really good job and giving them good quality and all of those things. Are there strategies that you've seen restaurants implement in order to really nail that part well, of really earning that customer as a direct customer in the long run, instead of just always ordering through a third party? Yeah,
it's actually very simple. Like, if you focus on your packaging as a restaurant, and you have your website listed there, you can get really smart. I'm not saying do this or don't do that, but what I see a lot of people do is a little brochure in the bags that say, hey, like, you can come in person next time. Here's a little coupon, or actually order from our online ordering. Well, from our website directly next time, here's this, 15% off if you order from us. Mm-hmm. That tends to be really successful, because again, the consumer doesn't want to pay extra. Like, if you can provide the same service, but save them that 30% commission that you're upcharging on your items, they're going to do it. It's in their best interest as well. You just want to tie it all together. And so that's why, having a platform like, in this case, ChowNow, I don't mean to, promote our own service here. There's a lot of other platforms that are really good at this too. you just want to have like this engine that is just like basically doing all the work for you. But again, there's no need to overcomplicate it. Like the third party apps are great tools for driving orders. They're a great order driver. And then you definitely want to have kind of your own direct engine so that you can keep those customers coming back. Hopefully, every couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And, that is one of the great things about ChowNow is ChowNow gives so many different ways to market to your customers. And so like there's the app, there's the website, there's, ordering through Google or through social, like they help implement everything across the way. And then once you do order direct, there's email marketing. Obviously Boostly is a integrated partner with ChowNow, and you can implement text marketing. There's all these different ways to really cover that customer wherever they are living. And you can really start to use third parties as that marketing engine, which was generally the reason that restaurants go to these third parties in the first place, in addition to offering delivery if they don't have their own delivery logistics.
100%. Yeah. Shout out to Boostly, great partner of ours. But yeah, like that's the goal, right? Like how do we take this customer and have you own that data so that you can continue retargeting them? Because once you have that customer in your database, it's game over. Like you just need to make it enticing enough for them to try and order. But, like we have a lot of holidays, it's Super Bowl, like Super Bowl campaigns tend to be super successful. Et cetera, et cetera. It's, your birthday. Hey, like here's 20% off if you order on your birthday. Like there's a lot of really powerful things you can do. And again, with like additions like Boostly, like text messaging, such a successful channel to reach someone. But the end goal is like, let's get you some ownership of that customer data. Cause that's where a lot of the revenue, comes in. And it's pretty much the same for any business, like e-commerce, like they kind of do the same thing. Like they want you to join their newsletters because that's how they keep you coming back.
Yeah. And, it's interesting you mentioned that because that was one of your initial insights was data for these customers is really valuable for the restaurant. But often it's really hard to use the customer data in ways that will really drive business for the restaurant. And you found this other problem, and then it almost always circles back to that data. If you can handle that data well, if you can make those customers your own, there's so much power in that from a marketing perspective. And I think many restaurants go and use the third parties and they just turn it on and then they don't think about what happens to the customer ever again. They just hopefully see orders and hopefully those customers come back to me directly at some point in the journey. But I think more and more restaurants are realizing I can be very intentional about how I approach these guests. You mentioned things like the packaging, put your website on there, brochures in the bag, give them a coupon to order direct. Even without a coupon, they're going to save often, 20 to 30% because the prices are less. And so even if it's not a direct like coupon, you can say you're going to save 20% compared to ordering through the third parties without giving away any margin in the process.
Yeah.
And then as you give that good experience so that when they do see you, they come and order direct. Once you get them in that customer database, employ all the marketing that you can to keep them coming back. Those were really great tips and advice that you gave. So I appreciate
it. Yeah, no, for sure. It's a new world, right? Like it's only been 4 years since COVID, which is when all this started changing. It feels like 10, 15 years ago, but it actually is like fairly recently. So we're still adapting. Restaurants are still adapting, but it's definitely a new world. And all I hope is, restaurants can adapt and not stay behind. This is, in my opinion, the way to do it. And now with the rise of AI, this is only going to be, stronger value driver because now it's not, I can't think of anybody that does this really well, but I'm hoping that in the future where the industry goes is, if I'm Juan and I like to order pizza at 2 p.m. when it's rainy and my favorite team is playing and the AI can decipher that, how successful could that be? And those sort of things that we're thinking about It's obviously more complex than what it sounds. But at the end of the day, it's all about adapting to this, like, mostly digital world. COVID changed, how we think, how we behave, and we like to spend a lot of time at home. And so giving our customers, like the consumers eating the food, the option to do that directly is absolutely massive.
Yeah. Now, to maybe pivot gears here, obviously in March, ChowNow acquired your company. Can you share a little bit about that experience and what led to the acquisition by ChowNow? And what does that mean for the future of ChowNow and the future of Cuboh?
Yeah. So ChowNow and Cuboh have been partners for a while. I want to say 3 to 4 years. I could be wrong, but that feels right. So basically we're, started as a platform that, would consolidate, this third-party apps and then, platforms like ChowNow. And we built a great relationship. And what became really apparent is, man, our two cultures are really, really similar. Like the teams like each other. We hold each other in really high regard. We obviously work with other partners. They work with other partners too. But there was something about ChowNow plus Cuboh that it was like this equation of like 1 + 1 = 3, because we thought about the industry very similarly and about our team as well and where we wanted to go. So they approached us last year, and we entertained the conversation. We weren't looking to sell, but it was just so obvious. It was as if it was like written somewhere that this was meant to happen. It felt like that, for sure. So yeah, the deal closed in March. It's been, I believe, I keep thinking it's like 5 to 6 months, but I think it's more like 4 to 5. But time's flying. Meeting the team, we went from being a 30-person company, 35-person company to now being a part of a much larger organization. I believe we're about 250 to 300 at ChowNow. And so, the teams are trying to figure out, like, what do we learn from each other? Because they have a lot that they can learn from us, and we have a lot that we can learn from them. So it's kind of this really cool process that I'm witnessing like front row, of us like trying to drive this impact of like, let's move faster. Do we really need this process here? But I think the product should be able to do this. And then the same for us, we definitely on our end need a little bit more process as well. And, be ready for higher scale. And so it's this dance that I think is going really well. I'm super excited for the future. This deal, like, we didn't have to take it. We took it because we thought that it just made, again, 1 + 1 = 3. And so the way that we see ChowNow is like, we want to be this like one place, this one operating system where restaurants can run their online ordering engine all in one place without having to use a bunch of tools. And you were talking a little bit about it. It's now restaurants are able, since the acquisition, they're now able to have this third parties consolidated through Cuboh, and at the same time have this direct commission free channel that is also centralized through our hub. And on top of that, we have other products, like we allow your restaurant to have delivery. We call it Flex Delivery. We allow your restaurant to accept orders through a bunch of massive channels like Yelp and Google. We call it the Order Better Network. So it's a super, super powerful engine with over 15,000 restaurants. We have our marketplace as well, where we have thousands of restaurants listed and a lot of traffic that also kind of allows us to behave like a third party and drive business. Obviously, DoorDash and Uber Eats, this is not necessarily a competitor to them, but rather like, hey, this is, we have people that are looking for cheaper options than the third parties, and this marketplace is great for them. And hence, like a good way for our restaurants to generate a little bit more traffic to their listings at the same time. And honestly, there's a lot more to come. So it's been 5 months, but like I said, like things are moving really quickly. I'm super happy. The team is super happy. We're in Canada. The ChowNow team is in LA. Crazy how we can be, it's not like really that far away, but we're just so similar, even though we're in different parts of the world. And, traveling to LA from the Canadian winters is definitely not going to be a bad thing as well. So no, everything's going really well.
That's fantastic. And how can the audience learn more about ChowNow, Cuboh, and yourself?
Yeah, so Cuboh.com, that's CUB as in boy, OH.com. And then ChowNow is, just ChowNow.com, CHOWNOW.com. You can just Google, we both companies are like pretty high up on Google. ChowNow is the market leader in direct online ordering. But we have a lot of information on our website, really friendly salespeople on both ends. Please reach out.
And I'll just highlight for those who haven't been exposed to like ChowNow or Cuboh, I know this about both of them. They believe in this like white gloved experience. They know operators are busy, don't have time to go and do everything that needs to be done in the restaurant. You're running the business. And so one of the things that has caused our company to partner with ChowNow historically has been they really care about the customer experience for the restaurant, taking as much off of your plate as possible to make sure that you have a good experience and you can focus on the food while they focus on just getting you more orders and easing your operations. So check out ChowNow at ChowNow.com. Check out Cuboh at Cuboh.com. And Juan, thank you for joining and sharing your story and experiences with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Shane. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Restaurant Rocket Fuel. And thank you to the amazing restaurateurs that work so hard to provide an amazing guest experience for our communities. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Boostly. To see how we can drive more revenue to your business, visit boostly.com. Don't forget to subscribe and go out there and maximize the potential that you and your business have in front of you.